So let's, without any further ado, get to the geographic region adjacent to where we are today, the Finger Lakes region presentation, which is going to be by Dr. Joel Seligman, and Hilda Rosario will be assisting with any questions.
Lieutenant Governor, thank you, and thank you to the SIAT team. Collectively, you must be among the hardest working people in New York. It's great to see Elaine Calleros, who has had such a pivotal role in so many projects, most recently in the Photonics Award, and Rick Tobey. This is actually not Hilda Rosario Escher. This is Bill Strasberg, very close associate of Danny Wegman, the co-chair of the Regional Economic Development Council. We are very, very grateful to the governor for his vision, and our hearts go out to him and his partner in the days and weeks to come. And we wish the most rapid and complete recovery for Sandy. Let me tell you where we are with our plan and what will happen in the few short weeks to come. This has been a community effort. We have been engaged in reaching out to the community through media. We have been engaged in an extraordinary number of public meetings. We're very proud of having 20 work groups with over 450 members who've been proposing ideas to us, as has the public generally. We've had several public forums. Critically, we have interviewed 120 community leaders in depth. Our steering committee, which is quarterbacking this process, has had 6 meetings so far. We'll probably have another 6 in the next 4 weeks to come. And we have been working with our teams in multiple meetings. We like to think that the URI is essentially the Regional Economic Development Council process on steroids. And we have made a much deeper and more quantitative dive than we did before. We've been aided by University of Buffalo Regional Institute, and it's good to see Laura at the end of the table. We've also been critically aided by Boston Consulting Group. We have made it a point that as we step forward, we want proposals that are not only among the best in our state, but are leaders in the nation, and in some cases globally. At the same time, we understand a point that Howard Zemsky stressed some weeks ago, that the numbers only get you so far. The issue is not historical and looking backwards at the data. The issue is looking forwards. And here the interviews, here the engagement with stakeholders has been absolutely vital. Above and beyond the efforts of Boston Consulting Group, Danny Wegman and I, often critically aided by Empire State Development's local representative Vinny Esposito, and many on our steering committee, have been engaged in a nonstop effort to focus on leverage. We take the governor's representation that he wants private investment to build upon the government investment in multiples as a critical direction. And we're looking forward to our final report reflecting the consequences of having selected pillars and enablers that allow us the maximum possible leverage. We're ready. We are a region which combines very hopeful green shoots. The Photonics Award recently, which is not just a tribute to Rochester, but a tribute to SUNY Polytechnic and partners throughout the country, nonetheless recognizes the vital role that the Finger Lakes community has played in optics, photonics, and imaging. We're ready. We have made breakthroughs in recent years in agriculture and food production. We are a variegated region with 9 counties, some of which are doing extraordinary things in that cluster. We're ready in a series of areas of next-generation manufacturing and technology where we've seen developments. At the same time, we're challenged. We are a region which has among the most severe poverty of any in our core city of Rochester. We have graduation rates from the Rochester City School District which are too low. We have social problems across the board. Our challenge, to make it very simply, is simultaneously to lift all of our citizens, not just the most privileged, but the most challenged, We view this as a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to address transformational change that will accelerate progress that is already occurring in Rochester and address poverty that has seemed for way too long insoluble. To get there, we have benefited from a recent record of success. We're proud, for example, to have added 1,300 new jobs at Eastman Business Park, which was crucially aided by the state. We're proud that College Town has opened with over 300 new permanent jobs and more on the way. We're proud of Hillside Work-Study Connection, which, among other things, has a graduation rate for high school students double that of the average in the Rochester City School Board. We're very proud of AIM Photonics and the partnership we have with SUNY Polytechnic and others. Very simply, we know how to get the job done. We know that resources are critical. We have shown in the last 4 years through the Regional Economic Development Council not only success in our plan, but success in the implementation. So what is this really about? It is about combining our green shoots with a very special effort that the governor has inspired us to take the lead in with poverty. The Rochester-Monroe Anti-Poverty Initiative is the only one, I believe, in upstate. It is one that is basically saying we will not accept the levels of poverty currently in the city. And it is our intent as a Regional Economic Development Council, and indeed as a region, as I've said, to lift all of our citizens. The core of our efforts is ultimately what we have affectionately come to regard as our temple. And our temple begins with our 4 objectives. 3 of them are familiar to all of you on SIAT: to grow jobs, to increase regional wealth, to drive private investment. The 4th is the consequence of the governor's special focus on our region through the Rochester-Monroe Anti-Poverty Initiative. We also have made poverty reduction a key. We are likely, when we go public with our draft plan within a few weeks, to focus not on a large number of pillars, but on 3 economic clusters that we believe can dramatically move our region. They will build on our strengths. They will build on our success. They will build on areas where we are confident. We have in the region initiatives already on the way with leverage that will make a dramatic difference. At the same time, we have come to understand that our ultimate success as a region is based upon enablers. And among others, we are going to focus on what we've come to call pathways to prosperity. We're going to focus on the critical role that workforce development and other efforts to address poverty can make in lifting our region. Our plan will be consistent with the 12 URI concepts. It will build on what we call our foundation, which, among other things, recognizes a quality of life for many in our community that's extraordinary in terms of variegated topics such as lower cost of health care, higher rates of graduation, and an extraordinary STEM workforce. Our next steps begin tomorrow. We will be presenting the plan in outline form to our Regional Economic Council, and we will seek a tentative vote 1 week later. We will go public shortly after that. We anticipate a period of 2 or 3 weeks where the public, through every means, will have the opportunity to comment before we harden the plan into a final version. We are comfortable that in submitting the plan, we will succeed in providing a plan that not only achieves the URI objectives consistent with the URI concepts, but really the governor's vision. We seek to create a plan that will move the dial, transform our region, and focus on leverage, focus on economic development, and focus on poverty reduction. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Any questions from the panelists?
Yeah, I have one question, and I know the hour is late, so that you're not going to get too many questions from the panel. But those of us on the SIAT, and I appreciate your recognizing that we're working very hard at this. When we think about the Finger Lakes region, we think about the Kodak Eastman Business Park. We just can't help but do that. And I know that you've been very hard at work at trying to transform the park into something new and beautiful and effective. First of all, would you tell us very briefly how you are advancing in terms of your trying to bring the business park back to life, and whether or not you've learned anything in that process that's going to help you with the URI?
Discussion of the Eastman Business Park will be part of the URI, thanks to the state's critical role in helping us address power issues within the park, environmental liabilities. Eastman Kodak recently has expressed its determination to continue managing the park. We are going to partner with them and focus on bringing new other businesses to the park, so that while Kodak has declined to about 1,200 employees in Rochester, we've seen a substantial growth of non-Kodak occupants of the park. And we are very, very confident that that trend line is going to continue. We've seen things like New York Best, a battery consortium. We've seen Canal Ponds, which is a SUNY Polytechnic project immediately adjacent to it. You all, in your visit recently to Rochester, saw Ledestri Foods, an extraordinary food processor that's part of the park. There'll be many other businesses like this in the years to come, and it would not have happened but for the state support in preventing the park from being boarded up and abandoned, which was a great possibility, but for your role in helping us stabilize the power system there and the environmental liability.
Great. And I think we have a chance for another question, right? Does Commissioner Driscoll have a question? I know he takes a great interest in the Finger Lakes.
I do. Thank you. Could you talk a little bit more about how you've organized all the information that you're gathering from the public, including input forums and meetings?
Yes. And I want to highlight that some of this has occurred, and much more of this will occur when we go out with our first draft soon. We have received hundreds of letters, emails, and we review all of them. We have basically, in terms of a template, focused on how we harmonize proposals with the imperative that to move the dial, you have to do things at scale. You have to do a small number of things. And what we've tried to do is match these proposals with what we've learned from our economic information, what we've learned from interviewing community leaders. In many instances, we found brilliant ideas, frankly, inspiring ideas from our community. They sometimes address the tone of what will be our ultimate report. They sometimes address the substance. There are a few things I'm more proud of than the fact that every vote in the last 4 years of the Regional Economic Development Council in the Finger Lakes has been unanimous. And the reason for it is illustrated by the experience that Howard Zemsky and Satish Tripathi have had in the Western District, New York Regional Council. We listen, and we will continue to listen. And in the next few weeks, we'll be listening 24, 26, 27 hours a day. Mr. Chairman and Lieutenant Governor, let me just finally express my great gratitude to you that you understand I have to leave for an airplane at this time. I wish we had hourly service to every place from Buffalo. I know it's coming. That perhaps is the ultimate aspiration of the Buffalo Billion or the next Buffalo Billion.
Put it in the plan.
All right. But again, just let me express my gratitude for how hard all of you guys are working.
And thank you for your service, and express our gratitude to your co-chair, Danny Wegman, as well.
Thank you.
Thank you.